Another issue is Searing Pain. It looks like it's going to be the Warlock's version of Sunder Armor, a cheap ability to build up threat, but it's fire damage. How on earth is that going to work in Molten Core when all the mobs are immune to fire? When Season of Discovery is released, we are going to see a version of the Warlock that has never been seen before. A vision that has been teased by the devs, but they've never really gone all in with this truly original concept. And that is, of course, the Warlock Tank. This has been made possible with a revolutionary change to the Metamorphosis ability. Instead of the ability being a flavorful fun cooldown, it will now become a permanent form, much like the Druid forms. Firstly, we have a 500% increase to your armor. This is definitely needed as cloth obviously doesn't provide much armor. In comparison, the Druid Bear form has a 180% increase and later a 360% increase at level 40 with Dire Bear form. People may also be aware that there is new profession gear in Season of Discovery that has cloth gear with bonus armor. This is when the armor stat appears green. But the armor bonus from Metamorphosis will only increase the armor value of the base armor, not the bonus amount. That's how total armor value is usually calculated anyway, unless there is some kind of change. So this will definitely allow the Warlock to have enough natural damage reduction. I honestly think that before Warrior unlock plate gear, Warlocks will actually have a larger armor stat. Your threat is also increased by 50%. This makes sense as Warlocks don't have high threat abilities like other classes do, apart from Searing Pain, which is now instant. Your mana gain from life tap is increased by 100%. I don't know about you, but the idea of life tapping while tanking sounds like a death sentence. I imagine the strategy will be to downrank this and get an add-on to track the boss's melee swing timer so that you can weave it in without dying, or make it into a macro to be used with a health stone. Your Shadow Bolt becomes a melee cleave ability called Shadow Cleave, and it now has a 6-second cooldown, so tanking multiple mobs shouldn't be a problem. Curse of Wreck becomes a taunt on a 10-second cooldown, but rather stupidly becomes a melee ability. But I guess that is to probably balance it with the vanilla version of the Warrior taunt. Plus you also get a charge ability called Demon Charge and an AoE taunt. So it's obvious that a Warlock tank won't need to cast abilities. As you may know, when you cast an ability you actually lose all of your avoidance, meaning you have 0 parry chance and 0 dodge chance. But there's still so many unanswered questions and issues with how a Warlock tank is going to function. I mean, they are never going to have a lot of avoidance compared to other tanks. They can't equip a shield, unless cloth gear is actually going to start having defensive stats on it. There's also the issue of crushing blows. How is a Warlock going to be able to deal with that? Maybe they are going to somehow allow the Warlock to tank without the need for avoidance. I mean, Metamorphosis does have a 6% chance for them to not be critically hit. Maybe that's going to be enough and casting abilities might not actually be such a bad idea. Another issue is Searing Pain. It looks like it's going to be the Warlock's version of Sunder Armor, a cheap ability to build up threat, but it's fire damage. How on earth is that going to work in Molten Core when all the mobs are immune to fire? By the way guys, I've actually made a little guide on how to totally remaster Classic WoW and push it beyond ultra graphics. All subscribers will get instant access to that guide if you just check out my subscriber only trailer. Another really great way to support the channel and actually get something in return is to check out Zygor's guides. They're going to have insanely good profession and leveling guides set up for Season of Discovery. Be sure to check out the free trial in the description of this video. So how would a Warlock tank actually look like at level 25? Well, I can see a few ways that it might work. Firstly, they might use the Master Channeler rune. That turns Drain Life into an instant ability. A long story short, it's a more powerful version of Siphon Life. It's a dot that also heals you and is very powerful. This, along with Metamorphosis, combined with a Demonology build that buffs your stamina, the Voidwalker's sacrifice ability, and the ability to resummon another Voidwalker for another sacrifice in case you need to in one fight, For those new to Warlock, the sacrifice ability actually kills your Voidwalker pet and provides a very strong shield effect on the player. The third rune option is also interesting. One option is to go for the defensive cooldown that increases your dodge chance by 30%, but also your crit chance for 6 seconds. This could be great for generating threat. Everlasting Affliction will continuously refresh Corruption without the need to recast it. As we know, hard casting while tanking is generally a bad idea, and you do actually have to cast Corruption in vanilla WoW, unless you have it talented. Incinerate is also interesting as it provides a debuff that increases the damage you deal with fire spells, i.e. your Searing Pain, by 25% for 15 seconds, but you would need to keep recasting this. But obviously this could be insane for threat generation, especially as you could combine this with another 30% buff from Lake of Fire, providing that casting Rain of Fire for a split second still provides this damage increasing ground effect, whether it's a debuff on the target or a little flame strike ground effect. Or the buff might just disappear instantly, who knows. Rain of Fire is interesting because in phase 2, when the level bracket is increased to 40, you could get the talent intensity with concentration aura or earth shield that would actually provide 100% cast knockback prevention on Rain of Fire and Hellfire. And it also has a 25% chance to stun targets with the Pyroclasm talent. This could be insane for AoE dungeon farming. Another avenue is using the Imp and talenting for improved Imp for Blood Pact and Fire Shield. Unfortunately, rank 3 of Blood Pact is unlocked at level 26, so this would only provide 130 health with improved Imp and Demonic Embrace. Maybe a little bit more obviously with Blessing of Kings. But to be honest, as many key abilities for many other classes are actually unlocked at level 26, it won't surprise me if Blizzard has dropped the level requirement by 1 level. Now in vanilla, the problem was that Corruption wasn't an instant cast spell without 5 talent points put into it. But in the same tier was also Suppression that provided an insane amount of hit chance for your Affliction spells, which is likely going to be mandatory when taking on bosses in BFD. But bear in mind there has also been some new hit chance cloth gear that has been data mined. But a potential problem here is keeping up Corruption, because it will be vital for keeping aggro. So perhaps in this build the Warlock will have to go for the Everlasting Affliction rune that refreshes the Corruption dot every time you use Searing Pain. Another problem is mana. I imagine that a Warlock will need synergy with other classes like the Paladin with his new Seal of a Martyrdom, because 10% of the damage that the Paladin deals with that seal returns mana to party members. The Shaman can also provide mana with the new Shamanistic Rage ability, but this is only for 15 seconds, and it's obviously going to have a cooldown. Oh, and Mana Spring is unlocked at level 26, and to be honest it is crap anyway. So my worry here is that 1, the Alliance Warlock will be way more powerful because of synergies with the Paladin, especially when you throw in Judgment of Wisdom into the equation that is unlocked at level 38. And secondly, a Warlock tank would just be too much of a codependent tank and therefore a bit of a crutch on the raid and a bit awkward. Because a warrior is just good to go no matter what. A Warlock might need a Paladin or another class to make it work. What is it about a Warlock tank that's going to make it shine over the other tanks? What is its unique selling point? Because honestly, without a clear solution to the mana problem, it has me a little worried. But maybe this is just going to be part of the Warlock's unique tanking playstyle, the skill of using life tap without killing yourself, using it during boss downtime or safe moments, or in synergy with defensive cooldowns like Sacrifice, or stuff provided by other classes. Maybe mana pots will just be good enough and there's actually no need to worry. To be fair, the doubled effect of life tap in Metamorphosis does make me a little more positive. One thing that is for certain is in the later phases of Season of Discovery, Deep Demonology will just be too overpowered to ignore and will become the main go-to tank spec. 40% physical damage reduction with Soul Link and Master Demonologist with the Voidwalker is just going to be too good to ignore. Imagine how good that's going to be when you combine it with the armor contribution boost from Metamorphosis, not to mention how Soul Link also reduces magic damage. The issue here though is obviously keeping the pet alive. I imagine healers will be taking healing a Warlock's pet a little bit more seriously at least, or maybe the Wrath Talent Fell synergy will be added later. Nevertheless, it's going to be interesting to see how the Warlock Tank establishes itself into the meta. Blizzard said it's going to be just as viable as any other tank, so let's see how that pans out. But what about the alternative DPS playstyles now available in SOD? Well, your dreams of playing a Fire Warlock in vanilla will now be fully fulfilled. We mentioned this earlier, but Incinerate is a new rune and it boosts the fire damage you deal by 25%. This is obviously there to compete with improved Shadow Bolt to make spamming Incinerate do more damage. And much to the dismay of mages and priests, the iconic Chaos Bolt has been added to the game, so the playstyle is probably going to look fairly similar to how it is now in Wrath. Keep up Immolate, Chaos Bolt on cooldown, and Incinerate as your filler, much better than just spamming Shadow Bolt for 2 expansions. But will sacrificing your pet still be the meta? Because with talents this will provide another 25% increase to your fire damage at level 60. There's been nothing data mined yet to suggest that keeping your pet alive will be easier in a raiding environment much like it is in Wrath. Data mining has however suggested that pets will scale with the player more, so maybe all of these fire damage increasing buffs will also benefit the imp, and therefore keeping the imp might be better than using demonic sacrifice, particularly in the later levels because it may also scale with your spell power. The Affliction Warlock playstyle will be fleshed out much more with the new runes also. The addition of Haunt should ensure that actually applying your dots will sim more DPS than just spamming Shadow Bolt and fishing for those improved Shadow Bolt boons. With all of your dots up, Soul Siphon and improved Drain Life will boost the damage of your Drain Life by a total of 28% if it works how it did in TBC anyway. Maybe casting Drain Soul or Drain Life will actually do more damage than filling in with Shadow Bolt. Remember that Drain Soul is also very mana efficient with the improved Drain Soul talent. Or maybe Master Channeler will be better. It says it increases the health generator by 100%, but does it also increase the damage it deals? And can that be boosted by Haunt? As we know in Wrath Classic, the concept of corruption rolling, you snapshot your corruption with buffs and use Everlasting Affliction so it maintains those damage increasing buffs basically for the entire raid fight. Since they've added this rune to the game doesn't mean that they're going to make further changes to make dot snapshotting more viable, because in vanilla it really wasn't. I mean, dots didn't even benefit from crits and there wasn't any strong enough temporary buffs to even really justify doing it. The new rune Demonic Tactics that increases your crit chance by 10% along with your pets is also quite interesting. This might be viable especially with 2 Warlocks in a group because that would mean a lot more improved Shadow Bolt stacks. Another interesting thing to consider is how Shadow Bolt Volley when combined with Everlasting Affliction will make it easier to maintain corruption on multiple targets. As far as I know, changing runes should be really easy, so swapping between specialist single target and AoE builds should be fairly fast and simple, especially as Blizzard hinted that dual spec could be coming in later phases. Warlock is actually going to be the class that I'm going to main in Season of Discovery. I do generally think it is the most interesting. I mean, it was the most interesting class in the original vanilla, and now it has just been injected by steroids. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. My name is Matt Goblin, and until my next video, ciao.